Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to explore a truly fascinating real-life case study pulled straight from our source material. We're looking at the story of two childhood friends who chased the exact same dream of business ownership, but man, they arrived there through vastly different routes. If you've ever wondered if there's only one right way to achieve your goals, this story is going to absolutely captivate you. We have a lot of incredible insights to unpack today, so let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this with a quote that completely altered the trajectory of one of our two main subjects. I don't think I'm learning how to own a business. This was spoken by a young college student named Josh. Picture this. He's sitting outside the student center after 2 years of studying business, getting good grades, and yet he was profoundly bothered. He realized he was just learning vocabulary, things like corporations, market segmentation, theories, but nobody was actually teaching him how to start a business. And actually, that exact realization caused him to completely abandon the traditional educational path.
All right, section one dream, two paths. To really understand these two, let's look back at how they grew up. They lived literally 3 blocks apart in the exact same neighborhood, rode the same school bus, and shared the exact same dream of owning something big so they wouldn't have to worry about bills or bosses. But their bedrooms told a totally different story about their personalities. Terry's room was essentially a command center. We're talking yellow sticky notes, meticulously maintained spreadsheets, and whiteboards absolutely covered in goals. Every single decision had a purpose. But over on Josh's side, it was filled with chaotic notebooks bursting with wild ideas and a desk buried in half-finished business sketches. So Terry was our meticulous planner, and Josh was our chaotic visionary. And as you'd probably guess, those distinct organizational styles translated right into their early careers. Terry executed his perfect traditional plan flawlessly. He got his business degree and immediately landed a job with a private banking company, making a very solid $75,000 a year as a client service associate. He bought a condo, bought a reliable car, the whole shebang. Josh, on the other hand, well, after dropping out because of that realization we just talked about, he took a customer service job at a local bank, earning $45,000 a year. He felt utterly stuck, just helping other people with their money while constantly wondering where his own big dream went.
Moving on to section 2. 3 years later. Nearly 3 years into their respective journeys, Terry and Josh meet up for lunch at their hometown diner. Same boots, same smell of coffee. But as they catch up, the widening gap in their perceived success becomes glaringly obvious. And this brilliantly illustrates it. Terry proudly shares that he's been promoted. He's now making $85,000, really enjoying his new condo and his new car. He is absolutely thriving on the traditional path. Josh, meanwhile, admits he never went back to school and is still working customer service, flatlining at $45,000.
As they talk, there's this long, heavy silence, and then Terry leans forward and drops this quote, "If you had finished college, you'd probably be where I am." Now, according to the source material, the words weren't actually meant to be malicious, but wow, they landed like an absolute punch to the gut. After lunch, they shake hands and Terry drives off in his brand new car. Josh just walks back inside the diner, sits alone, and is completely haunted by his lack of a solid plan. He realizes he still desperately wants to own a business, but he doesn't even know what kind of business that would be. Which brings us to section 3, the unexpected opportunity. A few months later, a massive turning point happens right at Josh's desk at the bank. An elderly customer named Mr. Jenkins walks in, steps right up to Josh's desk, and announces he's retiring and moving to the lake. He wants to sell his business, and he outlines this incredible offer: a 50-acre mobile home park with 300 units. And get this, he's willing to sell the whole thing for $400,000 to someone who can move quickly. Now, Josh knew absolutely nothing about mobile home parks, literally zero. But his heart started pounding because he immediately recognized an incredible opportunity staring him right in the face. But let's be real for a second. How does a guy making $45,000 a year buy a $400,000 business? Well, over the next hour at that very desk, Josh structured a highly creative deal. Step 1. He actually convinced Mr. Jenkins to finance part of the purchase using the property's existing equity. Step 2. With that seller financing securely in place, Josh was able to apply for and secure a bank loan for the remaining amount. The deal closed, Josh was finally a business owner, but he had a major problem on his hands. He had absolutely no idea what he was doing. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how Josh handled his lack of knowledge. Instead of pretending to know it all, he hired an experienced property manager and kept his day job at the bank for the first year.
Every single evening became his real-world curriculum. He dove headfirst into learning the ropes. We're talking leases, structural repairs, commercial insurance, property taxes, tenant relations, and daily maintenance. He asked hundreds of questions, made plenty of mistakes, fixed them, and gradually improved the property. Over time, rents went up, the park became safer, and the business really started growing.
All right, Section 4, the 15-year reveal.
15 years after that fateful diner lunch, Terry and Josh accidentally cross paths at a local sports bar. Terry shares his impressive updates. He's now married with 2 kids. He actually went back and earned a master's degree, and he is pulling in a highly impressive annual salary of $300,000 with bonuses. By all traditional metrics, Terry has masterfully executed that command center plan of his.
Terry grins, and he naturally assumes Josh is still working customer service at the bank. But then Josh casually drops this massive reality check. He says, "I bought a mobile home park years ago. I own it now. It earns over $1 million a year." You can just imagine the suspense and the complete shock in the air as Terry blinks and literally has to ask him to repeat that number. Over $1.2 million annually in gross revenue. Let that massive number just sink in for a moment. This demonstrates the true magnitude of Josh's success over the years. What started as an unexpected opportunity from an elderly bank customer blossomed into a highly lucrative enterprise. The dream that once seemed totally impossible for a college dropout had quietly become a reality.
And this leads to a beautifully humbling realization from Terry. He looks at his old friend and offers a really sincere apology. "I owe you an apology. I judged you. I thought because you left college, you had settled. I couldn't have been more wrong." Terry realizes in this powerful moment that a traditional education isn't the only metric for ambition, and it's certainly not the only path to ultimate success.
Section 5. Different classrooms. So the crucial point is this: neither man took the wrong road. In response to Terry's apology, Josh completely agrees with him about the importance of education. He tells him, "I had to become a student. I just learned from experienced mentors, books, and people who had already done it." He didn't reject learning at all. He just found his curriculum out there in the real world, hands-on, learning directly from those who had walked the path before him.
Now, the source material we are exploring today also highlights a strong faith-based cornerstone to Josh's journey. Josh explicitly credits his success to praying, trusting God, and walking by faith while he worked. He stopped depending only on what he could easily see on a spreadsheet. In fact, our source text concludes this point with Proverbs 3:5-6, emphasizing this idea of acknowledging a higher power to direct your path rather than leaning solely on your own, sometimes limited, understanding. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to turn this directly over to you. I want you to deeply reflect on this. Which person do you relate to most? Do you operate more like Terry, the meticulous planner with the command center, the spreadsheets, and the step-by-step traditional roadmap? Or are you more like Josh, the chaotic visionary who might lack a perfect roadmap, but possesses the faith and agility to jump at a wild opportunity the second it appears? And that brings us to our final, provocative thought for you today. Are you waiting for the perfect plan before you even begin? Are you so hyper-focused on having every single sticky note in place that you might actually be missing out on incredible, unexpected opportunities? Sometimes success doesn't come because we know everything up front. Sometimes it comes simply because we are willing to take that first faithful step and commit to learning along the way. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I really hope this sparks some amazing ideas for your own journey.